Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine Journey 2. So, last episode was the live stream. It went very well, thank you again if you tuned into that. If you didn't catch the live stream though, we're just going to go over what has changed. The first thing is, well actually before the live stream, I set this up. This will give us tin and iron crystals. And we need these crystals today to make the next tier of catalysts, which is then for the next tier of essences and so on. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Another thing that's been upgraded is our blood altar. So we are now on tier 4. This also allowed us to craft the next tier of Blood Orb, the Master Blood Orb. To get the tier 4 altar caps though, we had to craft the Bound Blade, which is made from some mana tools. And this thing I found out that you can actually put inside a mechanical user. And when this thing kills the mobs, it has a chance to drop these weak blood shards, which we need for the altar caps. And we'll also use these later on for purified tablets and some of the runic altar crafts. And speaking of the runic altar, we did set up some basic automations here. So we have all of the tier 1 runes automated. This step we're just doing on demand at the moment since our mana production is not where it needs to be. That's something we'll get to. Alright, so the goal for this episode is to get over to automated build generation and also perhaps automate the LP in our blood altar. To achieve this though, we need the next tier of reagents. And actually during the livestream we made some work on these reagents. The one we started to work on was the suppression reagent, which I believe is the one we need for the suppression core, which we need for the ritual diviner. And this is what we need to activate our rituals for our blood magic. So we'll have to finish this off today. So having a look at the suppression reagent, we need ender casings, dew of the void, vapor of levity, and sentient enders. So the first component, the ender casing, we started setting up during the live stream. And the recipe for the ender casing requires all of the previous tier machine chassis and all of the components that go along with that. So that was definitely fun to set up. So much clicking for this stuff. A few things we had to modify to get this to work, but ultimately we have passive ender casings. But the ender casings are only one step in this process for the suppression reagent. The next thing we need is dew of the void and vapor of levity, which are closely linked fluids from EnderIO. The dew of the void we have to make in the vat with nutrient distillation, grains of Abyssalcraft and grains of the end. And the vapor of levity we actually have to make from dew of the void. So we have to split this two ways. We have to buffer this and then send this into a vat somehow with some more grains which are sag milled from various crystals. And this is going to take a lot of soul binders and powered spawners, so let's jump in. The first thing we need for this is a shulker. You're coming with me. And with the shulker we have to create grains of prescience. To make these grains we have to sag mill the prescient crystal, which requires soul binder of shulker soul vials, and vibrant crystals. So I've set up this new crafter. This is going to craft our vibrant crystals from vibrant alloy and emeralds, and set the output on the drawer. So for these materials we actually need a bunch of different grains of various kinds. Grains of the end I think come from the Enderman. Yeah, and some more vibrant crystals. We do have a lot of these on-demand recipes over here next with our powered spawners and soul binders. But rather than doing this step on demand, let's change it so that we can automatically get these materials. Alright, so I think I've got this figured out. I kept the functionality of the old design, while also adding the shulkers up here. So to this interface I've added in ender resonators and the vibrant crystals. The ender resonators with still to passive, but these are used to make the sentient enders, so these are sent into the witch soul binder, which is this top left one over here. Then all of the outputs of the soul binders get pushed to the drawers. And the enderman one, which corresponds with this powered spawner and this soul binder, grabs the vibrant crystals, and so does the shulker one up here. And those are to create our precedent crystals and the ender crystals. These other two on the right are still for on-demand crafts, so we use these for the flight control units and the Franken zombies. Alright, so the next step for the dew of the void is to turn those into grains. And adding all those ender casings has actually caused us to run out of dark steel, which is not a good sign. But now we have our two sag mills passively producing us grains of the end and grains of prescience. And these were limiting just to one stack for the time being. So at this point I think we're ready to start distilling our fluids down. Also, if you were here during the live stream, we have sugarcane again. Let's turn this thing back on. And just so that we can make full use of the space up here, I think I'm going to stick our vats and nutrient distillation setup over here. It also helps that we have a water supply here, and these things are still very annoying to craft, so... Alright, so I think a configuration something like this should work. We need 3 vats for each of the different liquids, and then we need 2 tanks on the end here, as we need these as bucket items rather than just the fluid. So the first step here is to make our nutrient distillation. We can use, I think, any crop here. I was going to use the sugar, but you know what, we're farming mushrooms and we'll have excess of this stuff. And I picked Skeleton Skull as this isn't used in any other recipe, whereas the zombie and the Enderman heads we need for other things. So then the nutrient distillation has to go into the second vat, where this gets mixed with grains of Abyssalcraft and grains of the End. And the grains of Abyssalcraft we already make over here somewhere. Yeah, that's made in this sag mill here. This has been set up for a couple of episodes by now. So that gives us our Dew of the Void, which we have to split between the tank to fill it with buckets, and the third vat, which makes our Vapor of Levity. Aha, so now we have passive Vapor of Levity and passive Dew of the Void. So to move the fluid here from the second vat into the third vat and also the tank, we're using the round robin feature on the EnderIO conduits. And the third vat here takes our grains of Abyssalcraft, more grains of Abyssalcraft, and the grains of Prescience, which is the shulker one. Now we're just using the automatic output feature to put it into the fluid tank, where we're supplying buckets to this thing. And those are output to drawers. And a storage bus for the ME system. Alright, so that is 3 of 4 of the items we need for our reagent here. The last one is Sentient Enders. We just need a slice and splice for the Ender Resonators. So this we can add to the last slot on our wall here. I guess we've still got this one for some more machines. But yeah, we're supplying all of the input items from the interfaces at the back there. We're also supplying shears. This machine does also take axe and some shears, but I've actually passived the shears by now. So yeah, we have passive shears. We just ask for that in the interface and then also filter it into the machine, and the machine is smart enough to put it in the correct slot here. And as for the axe, we're using an unbreakable tinker's tool, so these tools we never have to worry about replacing. But these Ender Resonators go to the drawer obviously, and then this should be going into one of these soul binders. Yeah, it's going into this one here, which is the witches. So this we can just set on the output drawer and then set the auto output on the soul binder. And that's going to passively craft the last item we need for our reagents. So as for the reagent itself, we can't yet passive this as we don't have the automatic will generation, but hopefully that's something we can solve today. So for now we'll just add a crafting recipe for this, and we'll add it to the interface with a long list of reagents that we have in this pack. Alright, so the suppression reagent was only one part that we need for the core, which is what we need for a ritual diviner. So moving on, we need Praesidium, I think is how you pronounce this. Praesidium? Yeah, Praesidium. We're going to go with Praesidium. So Praesidium is the first one that we actually need, which takes these intensive catalysts, which is the new iron and tin crystals that we set up from mechanism ore processing. So this we can just add a recipe for. This Crepitus we made last episode. We have a crafting recipe for this one. The Sanctus we've also made, and in fact we have all of these items on passive by now. The only thing we don't have is the bottom 3 items, so we need more potions. I guess I missed this one when I was counting out the potions that we need. Corallium infused stone, we have to passive this, and hardened Invar glass. And I was going to say this should be a simple fix, but not if we have no gold ingots left. As you can see, they're all getting used up for something or another. Some system that we've set up recently is consuming all of the gold. Who knows what that is? It's probably one of these alloy smelters over here, making something like vibrant alloy maybe. But I've logged some of the pulverizers to process the ore that we have. I think we have about 6,000 gold ore. In fact, yeah, it's starting to backlog now, so whatever it was has probably filled its buffer. Yeah, we still have 6,000 gold ore, which is 12,000 ingots. But I am aware of our ingot supply running out now that we have some more passive processes. It's something to keep an eye on for sure. But now we have our hardened Invar glass on passive. The potions we're going to add just like this. So we have splash potions of extended strength here, which is I think the ones we want, right? Yeah, just make sure that we made the right one. Just the infused stone left. And all we need for this is another crafter. However, it looks like we're out of dark solarium. Either that or we don't passive this stuff. I don't remember. There's too many ingots in this game. Yeah, it doesn't look like we do, although it may be just getting consumed by other passive processes. And you know what, for the time being, we're not going to passive Dark Solarium. This is going to be a very heavy drain on Elevatium, Dark Steel, and Solarium, which takes gold, all of which we're actually kind of low on. So I'm not going to drain the system anymore by adding Dark Solarium. We do already have an on-demand recipe for this, so now we can add a recipe for the Praesidium. And after a very long journey, we can now request our suppression cores, I hope. We're missing Aether. Okay. And we're missing Aether because we're missing Aerogel. And Aerogel for the time being, we're still just going to batch craft here. And now we have suppression cores automated. But the suppression cores isn't all we need for this. We also need to progress down the bottom side of this chapter and enter the next DivineRPG dimension, which is Apalachia. To make the portal though, we need some blocks of mana steel, blocks of mana diamonds, mana weave cloth, and some mana glass. All of the inputs for this we automated last episode. I just hope that we have enough mana to create all of this metal. Oh yeah, we should have plenty for this craft. So, you know the story by now. One more portal to add to our collection. And let's see what Apalachia has for us. Alright, very purple dimension we've got here. Let's see if we can find our dungeons. I wonder if this is it right here. Oh, more of these Catalines. These guys are tanky. Yeah, let's get rid of the spawners here. Oh, interesting. There's some Tinker's things here. What is this flute? Remedy? Okay, this is some sort of a door up here. We probably need to find the key if I was to guess. Oh, some reagents. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, nice. Oh, some crafting tables. I'm being constantly hit here. I don't even know what's hitting me. Alright, so to beat this dungeon, we have to find 8 of these buttons. Pressing these is going to give us the key fragments. And I believe the quest says we need 8 different key fragments to get the key, which will open the door in the middle of the dungeon. There's 2 buttons. 3 buttons. More reagents. This is button number 5, I think, inside the smeltery. Aha, button number 6. This one took a while. That was behind some bookshelves here. Oh, check this room out. Oh, this is cool. We get some immersive stuff here. It looks like a full metal press even. Yeah, these custom dungeons are really nice. Apart from the fact that all these mobs exist. These guys are so annoying. Oh, they're so tanky as well. There is button number 7. Okay, I am extremely lost here. This place has been gutted, and there's no button left. We just need to find one more. I've literally taken out everything in this place. So I ended up just taking it from that dungeon over there. And now we can craft our key. And open our door up here in the dungeon. Alright, let's see what the boss is like here. Twilight Demon. Alright, is he just going to stand there? Oh, he gives us nausea. Oh, that's not good. Oh no. How long does this last? 10 seconds? Alright, quick, take him out. I can't see nothing. I can't see anything. Well, at least he's down. So he dropped his boss door key and the Apalachia heart, which I think is actually what we need for the next Abyssalcraft. I think the key though will open upstairs here. Spike of Apalachia and a magical core. And there's also the radiant beacons here that we need for our tier 5 altar caps. We mentioned these last episode actually, and I thought we were going to have to go into the autumn dimension, but it looks like we can get them from these dungeons. These radiant beacons we use to craft the regular Minecraft beacons, which is what we need for the blood altar. So I guess in that case, I'm going to clear 3 more dungeons to get the 4 beacons that we need. Instead of going through all the dungeon the hard way again, trying to find all of those buttons, let's do it the easy way. We're going to use the digital miner. Filter this for the radiant beacon. Give it some power. So I think I've got all of this configured here. And we got radiant beacon number 2. 2 more dungeons to go. Radiant beacon number 3. And beacon number 4. Easy. Thank you, by the way, King, for this suggestion. This is awesome. Alright, well I would call that a pretty successful trip into Apalachia. We got our 4 radiant beacons, which we're going to craft into the regular beacons. But before we do that, we have a bigger problem. In fact, a very, very big problem. So let me explain here. To be able to automate the Hellfire Forge and automatically collect the will that we need for the Tartaric gem in here, to automatically refill this, we have to get up to this quest over here. But we also need some ritual stones. And having a look at the recipe for the ritual stone, we need imbued slates. This is a kind of a pain to craft right now, we have to do it manually, but it's doable. But for every 16 ritual stones, we need dark cores. And the dark cores require void reagents, which is another reagent we have to look at today. Although this one isn't nearly as bad as the suppression one we made earlier. But as part of the dark cores, we also need tenebrae. And this thing takes blocks of dark steel each. And looking at our dark steel, we have 0. I think yesterday we were up at 4,000 dark steel. Well, that's all gone. And I think it's due to some of these passive processes we've set up. Lots and lots of dark steel is used for these gears. Yeah, it's used for these gears. It's also being used to make end steel. And there's a lot of end steel consumed in these chassis. So I think for the time being, what I'm going to do is actually turn off the end steel production. We're going to turn this off since we don't need it for blood magic right now. And we'll put a little marker here to remind us. Hopefully this way we can build up enough dark steel. And I'll also turn off that gear production actually. But yeah, when things start getting so big in the base, you start forgetting where things are consumed. And it can get quite dangerous and spiral out of control quite easily, like it has here. Yeah, this is not a good situation to be in when we're out of materials that we need. So while we wait on all that stuff, let's work on the rest of the tier 4 reagents. This is going to unlock the bottom quest over here and allow us to get into Omethal, which is the next Abyssalcraft dimension. So having a look at the rest of the tier 4 reagents, we need the elasticity reagent, which is blood infused leather. This is industrial leather, which we have automated, but we have to dip this in the blood altar. In fact, alternatively, we could use our EvoCraft blood. Yeah, you know what, let's do this recipe instead. We also need green slime blocks. Now we are farming slime in our tree farm up there. However, these trees give us the Tinker's Construct slime blocks, which is a different version of the slime we need for the reagent. This is the 2x2 craft, and we need the 3x3 craft of slime. So to fix that, I've added an extra compacting drawer locked with the 3x3 craft of the slime blocks. So this bottom one is the one that our tree farm gets, and I'm exporting that into this drawer, which actually should be the other way around. We don't want the void upgrade on this one, we want it on the bottom one. So yeah, this way we're going to extract all of the slime blocks we're farming into this drawer, which I don't have any upgrades in. But we also do need this version of the slime, as we need this in the Empowerer for Empowered Emeradic. So we actually do need both of the versions. And the last part for this reagent is silk, which is just a 3x3 craft of string. So we can swap out the string drawer at our mob farm here with a compacting drawer instead. So we can now put in the recipe for the elasticity reagent and the suppression reagent. The last of the tier 4 reagents is void reagent, which takes mobgrindium blocks. I think we're already farming mobgrindium ingots. Yeah, right here we have passive mobgrindium. So we're going to swap this once again with a compacting drawer. And this will give us the blocks. And the last part we don't have for the void reagent is void buckets, which is just brown slime and iron plates. So we're going to add a crafter here on our auto crafting wall. And this will give us passive void buckets. And the last tier 4 reagent is the potent reagent. So we already have passive empowered Palus crystals. We already have the absorption 4. Just double checking here, yeah we do. There's so many potions I've created over the last few days. The pure fluix, I think we're actually going to hold off on since there's a fluix seed. Yeah, we can make the Fluix Essence seed, and it's going to be a lot easier to do the seeds than to try to mess with doing pure Fluix automation. So for now we'll just make it as we need it, but we may as well add the redstone transmission coils on passive here. So to do that we need to passive silver gears, and we can add another crafter for the transmission coil. But now we can request one of each of our tier 4 reagents. Yeah, these reagents are definitely getting expensive. I don't even know if is there a tier 5 reagent? But things seem to be going fairly smooth. And there is our quest, finally. Alright, so this also means we have to work on the tier 4 essences as well, which means we need one of these intensive catalysts. I don't think we've crafted one of those yet, but we should have the recipe for it. Yeah, we can request this. It should be in the alchemy table here. Another quest. So at this point, after the tier 4 reagents, we also need the tier 4 essences. And actually a lot of the work is already done for these things. The first one, Reductus here, we actually already have all of these items automated. So this will just need a recipe. The Tenebrae is the same situation, actually we already have all of these items. Praesidium we tackled earlier on, I think we already have the recipe for this even. So that just leaves the Potentia. So I've added potentiometers to this crafter here. We have to craft down quartz slabs first of all, but this is set to keep in the internal slot of the crafter here. And then it will use that along with draconium dust and red alloy ingots to create our potentiometers. But we do also have to get draconium dust, as all of the draconium ore we are processing into dust and then smelting. So we could separate it out over here, but I think it's going to be easier just to keep a separate pulverizer here, which will always keep at least a stack of dust on hand. So the final ingredient is aqua balls, and this takes, actually it's a multiple stage process here, so we have to craft them from water buckets we have automated, slime we can do, but we need this kraken skin, and this comes from treated leather, which I think we're going to switch to a passive process, and kraken scales, which is ink sacs, raw fish, and more slime balls. So first let's do the treated leather. Actually on second thought let's hold off on the treated leather. This takes lime dye, which we can very easily get with dye essence. But we can add this process now so that when we get the treated leather, this will all hopefully just work. So the kraken scales I've separated out from this crafter, which handles the kraken skin and aqua balls. And the reason for that is I noticed they were used in these dragon scales, which is used later on for bewitchment stuff. I don't know how much of this we need, but I decided to separate it out and buffer this separately. But then those are input to this crafter where we craft kraken skin with the treated leather. This craft will input to the internal buffer of the crafter. And because these take 6 water buckets and these don't stack, we can't use the limited item filter in the back to import the water buckets. As if we were to do this, maybe like 6 times, it would still only put 1 bucket in, since it's the same item in the filter. So to get the 6 in here that we need, I've locked the remaining slots so that it doesn't fill with water buckets with dirt. And then we have a separate input here for the buckets, and this is just on regular fillers, not limited item fillers. And then we have an extract filler for the empty buckets, which will just go back into the interface. So yeah, this will give us the aqua balls. Now we can put in recipes for all of our tier 4 essences. So I know that it may seem like we're going quite slow in terms of the progression of this pack, but I think it is very important to get this automation down, especially for these essences and reagents. This is basically just the nature of this pack at the moment, but yeah, we're close to some more exciting stuff. Some Britannia stuff. It looks like we get access to the wireless crafting terminal here. And yeah, lots of exciting automation coming up in the near future here. So there is 2 of our essences finished. We still need Tenebrae. Let's see if we have some dark steel on stock right now. Oh, we do. It must have backlogged on some of the passive processes. So we just need to request Potentia. Oh, look at that. Available. Everything available. Besides the weather container. And we're out of LP again. But luckily with our new incense altar, we can get 14,000 life essence per sacrifice now. I'm actually happy with the fact that we went sacrificial dagger and self-sacrifice rather than the dagger of sacrifice. It seems to be working out very well here. So that is Tenebrae finished crafting, and we're just waiting on one more getting enough life essence here. Haha, the tier 4 essences. Oh, this is so exciting at this point. 16 intensive catalyst quest rewards. Alright, so this unlocks our ritual stones. Before we craft the ritual stones, I need to double check how many of these we actually need for our rituals. But I think it is at least 100 or so. We need a lot of these things. We also need to come up here and finish off these inscription tools. We need to make one of each, which is the various types of tier 1 runes inside the blood altar. So it turns out that we are actually skipping a step here. So in order to build the Ritual Diviner Dusk, which is the one we need for the higher tier rituals, we need these crystallized Abyssal Night clusters, which means we have to do crystallization of Abyssal Night, and this we can only get from the Crystallizer, which is crafted with Will. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation here. However, I found out that you can actually get the first Crystallizer in the next dimension here. So we have to continue our journey through Abyssalcraft, and we have to craft the altar of Cha'garoth. And there's actually 2 parts to this altar. Both pieces of the altar though require 2 Apalachia hearts, so I had to go and kill one of those other Apalachia bosses. But I think now we should have everything we need. We do have to wait for another 20,000 PE. So for the first piece of the altar, we need the key, which we crafted earlier. We need a dark core, a suppression core, the crown, which is made from these spikes we found in the chest, and 4 hybrid abyssal blocks, which is just an alloy smelter recipe. So these rituals have to be performed within the Dreadlands. We are going to need 20,000 PE and a sacrifice, so we need the help of our sheep here. So that's one piece of the altar. To get the second piece, as I mentioned, we are going to have to first charge our book. We also need 3 Apalachia chunks, which comes from all the mobs in the Apalachia dimension. 3 more of these dread cloths, which is dread fragments. We're farming this with a powered spawner and some industrial leather. And then, yeah, the other Apalachia heart. So while we wait on the rest of the PE, I'm actually going to take the time and upgrade some of these Tartaric gems again. We need a decent amount of buffer of will to get this process started, so it's going to be useful to have some of the upgraded Tartaric gems to start off with. But enough time has now passed to fill the 20,000 PE that we need in the book. And now we have our portal. So according to the quests here, we have to find a Dreadlands mountain biome, dig down to Y40 and make a small room. So I don't know what's considered a small room, but then apparently we have to place down the bottom and then the top of the altar. And now apparently we are transported to Cha'garoths Lair. I have no idea how to get out of this thing. Alright, well I guess we're here now. Lots of these dread guards about. What is this? Oh, this is the Crystallizer. Awesome. Aha. Yeah, there is our quest. Nice. Let's see if we can get the boss while we're here. This must be the boss down here. Hello, Cha'garoth. Let's not get hit by that thing. Okay. Let's make sure to dodge his fireballs. Or whatever that thing is. I think that's Dread Plague. I mean, the armor we have is decent, but I really would rather not die in here. Yeah, I would say flight is definitely essential in this place. Okay, he's about half HP. Oh, yeah, that took us down to half a heart. Yeah, we absolutely have to dodge those things. Yeah, last stand definitely saved us there. Oh, we can hit him through the stairs. Oh, this feels like cheating. Oh, this laser gun is too strong. One more hit. 2 more hits. Aha! Let's see what he's got for us. Lots of loot here, lots of loot. Most of the stuff he dropped is not very useful for us. A lot of these things we already have. I'm curious what this Greater Scroll is though. I assume that's for the Abyssalcraft spells. But he did also drop the Gateway Key. Yeah, the quests here say that we're going to be upgrading this later on to an actual functional key. But behind this wall here is apparently some legendary chest. Of course. Oh, that's awesome. Of course it's the legendary chest. Alright, let's go. Let's get out of here. Alright, so we are back. That went fairly smooth. We had one close call, but nothing last stand couldn't handle. So the most important thing we got from there was the Crystallizer. And I don't know how this works. I don't know if this takes regular fuels. But basically the next quest here is to create some crystallized clusters. And we can do that with these chunks that we're farming from our powered spawners. It looks like it does take some sort of fuel. Let's try blaze rods maybe? Yeah, blaze rods works. So this gives us crystallized abyssalnite. And then we need 9 of these things to crystallized into the cluster. And this is the last component we need for our ritual diviner. So you know what, now that we have this machine, we might as well automate this. So let's hook it up to our applied energistic system. I'm not sure if this is a sided machine like the Evilcraft one. But after doing some tests, it seems that this is a sided machine. So we have to input from the top here. We have the pattern for the crystallized abyssalite. And we also ask for blaze rods here to power this thing, which are being extracted via the conduit on brown channel and inserted to the back of this machine. And then the outputs are taken out on blue from the bottom and then back to the interface. So yeah, maybe this is something we'll have to passive, but I guess for now we'll just do it on demand. So there is our first crystallized abyssalite cluster. And then with this we can use our 2 inscription tools that we crafted earlier. We need another suppression core for this, which we can craft. And now we can craft our ritual diviner. This gives us access to all of the higher tier rituals that we're going to need in the future. But we also still need a few more materials for this. Primarily some more ritual stones, which is going to require some more slates. So that is probably something I'll farm between episodes. It's not looking like we're going to get this today, but we do need a couple of more recipes for the crystallizer. We need crystallized gold, crystallized blaze, and crystallized carbon. And these clusters, it looks like, are used for the lava crystal, and then we have to use that in the blood altar to make our weak activation crystal. And this is the key to start all of our rituals in blood magic. However, this does require 100,000 LP, and that's definitely going to take some more runes of capacity, which take more slates, and this is a lot of blood to be sacrificing, along with blank slates, which take lots and lots of dark steel. So I think that's something we're going to save for next episode. I did, while I was waiting on some of that PE generating, make a start on automating the blood altar here. But it's not quite finished yet, and there's still some changes I'd like to make to this setup, so that's something we'll go over next time. Unfortunately, we didn't get around to automating Will today. It was a little bit more gated than I expected, and we took our time on some of the reagents and essences, which will definitely be important later on. But we can for sure get this tomorrow, so yeah, I'm going to farm up a bunch more slates and things to upgrade the altar, and we'll start off tomorrow with automated will generation. Well, that's going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for some more Divine Journey 2.